Oh, hey, what's up, you guys? How's it going? It's Papa, and today I'm going to be showcasing you guys my updated Mathmech deck that I have been playing for the new upcoming format that starts Monday, I believe. I think this is coming up on Sunday, so I believe the day after being Monday will be when this deck is actually going to be in full effect with the one circular. Yeah, this deck is still very viable. I really think that this deck does still accomplish things in the new format, just because you really just need to resolve circular once to have anything really be going for you. And if you resolve the circular, odds are you're probably going to be in a good spot. The only thing that worries me is Bistles. I feel like Bistles are going to make a comeback in this next format, so this deck may seem a little less viable. But Mathmech alone, just like your mom, is very doable, and I feel like it is just under potentialized, I should say. But the deck does still have a lot of great combos that it can do, even with just one circular. There's so many different ways to get to it. You have a lot of combo pieces that go into doing it. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the deck profile. So let's just go ahead and jump and see what we are playing with. So starting off the main deck, of course, we do have our lone copy of Mathmech Circular. I mean, if people don't know what this card does already, when another Mathmech is summoned while this is on the field, you can go ahead and add a Mathmech Speller Trap. And then what it also does too is that you can send a Mathmech name from the deck to the graveyard for cost to summon itself from the hand, which is just busted. So I mean, yes, this card had to go to 1, but this card is just so good in general that I'm gonna miss it at 3. So one of those. Since we do have one circular, we do kind of have to max out on 3 copies of Diameter now. I mean, this is just going to be your best normal summon in the deck. I will say this right now, I'm not playing Firewall in this version. For those that don't like Firewall, Defensor and all that stuff, I get that it can be a little bricky, and I can also get if you can't afford to play it, but I don't personally play it because I have played it in the past and it's been really good. Don't get me wrong, but bricking on the Guardian, bricking on multiple defensors, or drawing defensor with Diameter is just not really good. And especially when your main goal of the deck now is to resolve circular first turn as much as possible, you kind of just want to make sure that you're using your main normal summon on something that could possibly be a negate and also be able to just keep extending you. So we don't play Defensor in this list. We are just on the 3 copies of Diameter for that. 2 Sigma still. I feel like you still need to play 2 Sigma. We still have a Rise Heart in the format, so odds are you're probably going to be banishing this card a lot, so you might as well play 2. The Cashier still being alive does kind of hinder this deck a little bit, but with 2 Sigma, I still feel like the deck is very playable. And then since we're not playing the Firewall Defensors, we're playing multiple Mathmech names. So we're on 2 copies of Subtraction and 2 copies of Addition, just to make up for the lost space being the 2 missing circulars. But 10 Mathmech names, I feel like that's a good enough number. I don't really feel like you need more. Don't feel like you really need less. Just 10 names is good, especially when you pair it up with 3 Parallel Exceed. This card is still broken. This card is really broken for the deck. It's so free to resolve, and then this also helps you get to your circular turn 1. If you pair this with any normal summon, you're just going to be in for a really good time. But 3 Exceed definitely helps you get there most of the time. For hand traps, so this is where it gets just like a little bit like less controversial, I should say. I still play 3 Droll in the main deck. I feel like this is just going to be like the mainstay of the format. I mean, you still have Super Heavy, you still have Branded, you probably have Sprite that's going to keep seeing a lot of pop-ups from here and now, and then you're also going to have the main deck being Kashtira, and then obviously it's like kind of good against like the Labyrinth stuff too, but Droll is just the more useful hand trap all around, so you definitely have to play 3 of it still, I feel like, in this format to be able to do anything. And since we did lose Gamma, we also now have some free spaces, so you might as well just max out on the Drolls. Speaking of maxing out, I am now on 3 copies of Effect Veiler. I wasn't playing 3 Veiler before, but now that Gamma is at 1 and basically unplayable, I decided to just max out on the Veilers, mainly because it is just so good to see when you draw off of Heat Soul, and then it also being good just going second as well. The card's great all around, so you should probably be playing 3 of it from here on out. 3 copies of Ash Blossom, shouldn't come as a surprise. The card's really good against everything. Still on 2 copies of Nibiru, and then I'm on 2 copies of Ghost Ogre still. I just feel like Super Heavy is still going to be a deck. A lot of people are just going to keep trying to make that deck work, and then this is also good against Sword Soul, and it's also good against Sprite. So Ogre does have its usages, but I still feel like just 2 is fine. I definitely don't want to max out on this card because, again, it is once per turn, and it's probably the weaker of the hand traps. but it's just good when you see it. And then one Ghost Mourner still, again, it's just an extra form of effect negation, so that way you can just keep drawing Interruption for your Heat Soul. So we wanted to play it. And then the last card I play is the Santa Claus, just because you want to be able to draw something that can out like a Dragoon or like a Mirror Jade, basically just whatever the issue is, being like a Rise Heart as well. But that's going to do it for the monster lineup of the deck. Moving on to the spells. 3 mining, of course. I am playing 3 Small World. I was actually playing 2 for the previous regional that just happened in LA, but now that Circular's at 1, you kind of have to see Circular as much as possible. So we play 3 Small World to coincide with it. I'm also on 2 talents this time around. I was playing 1, but I opted, since we're probably going to be getting into just a weird format, I wanted to go ahead and play the second one just in case. And there's still a lot of people that play a lot of hand traps, a lot of people that like to play during your turn, and I feel like Mathmech just has a really good bounce back when it comes to a card like this. Card just nuts, it's so good all around, and I just opted to play 2 instead of 1. Worst comes to worst, when you come to your side out patterns, you can always side 1 out, put in 3 thrusts, and then that way the thrust can get you to the talents if you need to. But for right now in the main deck, I'm enjoying 2. I think it's just been fine so far. And then especially because we're pairing it up with the Call by the Grave. Call by the Grave is just nuts. This is basically your main out for Droll and Lockbird. When I went to the regional, I kid you not, I got Droll and Lockbird at least twice every matchup. It was kind of ridiculous. Every round I got drolled twice, some rounds even getting drolled all 3 games that I played. But Call by is basically your main out for cards like Droll, cards like Ash, mainly just because we don't have Gamma anymore. So you have to play the Call by the Grave. And then same reasoning, if you play the talents, you just punish your opponent even more by just looking at the hand, getting that knowledge, and just going off from there. But that's for all of those. And then I'm also playing just a few other random spots in the deck. This is the 40th card. I don't really know what else to put here, but I feel like with the popularity of Labyrinth that's going to be coming in this next format, I wanted to play the Harpy Feather Duster, because this card is also just really good against Sky Striker as well. Just being able to blind them with this game 1 will throw them off guard, and then it's also good for just clearing like scales. It's good for like a, what's it called? Like a Sprite board player where they're playing like Double Cross, Smasher, Starter. It basically makes them have to bait it all out. It just throws a lot of people off guard, and I really like this card, but I'm trying it out on the main deck right now. I may not like it, I might take it out for something else, but right now it is just the 40th card in the deck, so we are just playing the 1. And of course, we play the equation and the factorial still. Granted, you could possibly argue a second equation, but I just don't want to brick, so I just still play the 1 and 1, and so far it's been enough. That's it for the main deck. We're looking at 40 cards in the main deck. I still don't like Imperm in this deck, just for the correlation with Heat Soul, being that the Imperm is probably going to be dead when you draw it anyway. So I opted just not to play it. So we're just basing it off of that. But 40 cards, no more, no less. Onto the extra deck, I'm just going to show you real quick because I don't think it's too different. I'm just playing a couple different like tech choices. Since we're not playing the Firewall build anymore, I decided to play a few different links instead, but I'll get to that when we get there. Still playing 2 Alan Burschen though. Cards nuts. 1 Laplacian, still just as good as the Alan Burschen. 1 Almirage, 1 Link Spider, and 1 Lingeribo. This lineup hasn't changed. I think all these Link 1s are very necessary. I actually finally got to the point where I played in the regional where the Link Spider and the Crystal Heart actually came up, so that was good. I did get Nibiru, but I was still able to play and go for game because I played these cards, so that's a win-win, I suppose. I'm opting for 2 Splash Mage. I was debating either playing 2 of this or playing a second Update Jammer. And granted, you could play a second Update Jammer for a card that I'll show you in just a little bit, but I do like double Splash Mage. I think it's really good. I mean, granted, Unicorn can still banish cards from the extra deck. I mean, they don't have access to Diablosis, so by doing that, they're probably going to be going for the Splash Mage most of the time anyway. Either that or it will be the Update Jammer, but I wanted to play 2 Splash Mage because it's good for turn 1, and then when you're playing on the follow-up, you could also just use another Splash Mage and then catch the opponent off guard like that. But most of the time, they're probably going to be hitting the Update Jammer anyway, but that's also just because we play 2 Access Code. But again, more of that when I'll get into it. For Link 3s, we're on Transcode Talker and we're on Big Daddy Heat Soul. Of course, these are just probably two of the best cards in the extra deck, if you ask me. Super awesome tech is Topologic Trisbana. I actually really enjoy playing this card. It is really good against Labyrinth, and that's basically why it's in here. It's good against Labyrinth. It's also really good against Sky Striker for the upcoming format, and Eldritch has also been seeing a lot of popularity rise, so it's really good against that as well. And I've seen a lot of Dynamorphia too, so basically just any back row deck this is really good against, just because the Mathmech summons are just so free when you use like addition or you use subtraction. Basically it doesn't eat your normal summon. Trisbana just has a lot of usages, and then being able to blow up your opponent's back row for basically free and then burning them for the damage as well is really good. And plus it's a cyber, so even if you get cyber locked, it doesn't matter because you can still make this and go from there. So one Trisbana. And rounding off the extra deck, we're on 2 copies of Access Code Talker still. I don't think you really need to, but I mean, it is what it is. I just think that having the second one is just more of a safe and sorry thing, because again, Cashier can still snipe cards out of your extra deck, and then people are probably going to be on Dino as well for the next format. So if they are on Dino, then odds are you're going to lose one of your access codes regardless. So yeah, I feel like 2 is fine, but that's really going to go ahead and do it for the video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this list. I know I've been getting asked for a update to the Mathmech list ever since I posted like my first place list, and don't get me wrong, it kind of sucked to post a first place list only to have it be kind of null and voided right after posting it, since we got a ban list literally like 10-15 minutes right after I posted the list. But I still really like this deck. I mean, it is a lot of fun to play. It's not fun to play against, don't get me wrong, but I'm also just still trying to figure out what I'm going to be mainly playing for the upcoming format. I'm trying really hard not to keep playing Sprite, but I mean, you know how I feel about that deck. But that is going to do it for today's video. Until next time, guys, this has been Papa, and I will catch you all in my next video. Take care, everyone.